was a changed woman. She was a good woman. She was a good woman.
The very first celebrities that I cooked for were pretty much the whole Braxton family.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Well, you go ahead on with your bad self.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Reclaiming My Life. I'm your host, Claudia Massey. I am extremely excited today. You know, I always come to you all and I tell you how excited I am. Well, I am extremely excited today and honored, so honored to have Dr. Bobby Jones.
I love the way you say it. Thank you, Claudia. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Oh,
And
thank you so much.
Yes,
Thank you.
And congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
I am truly honored to have you join me here today on Reclaiming My Life.
All right.
Dr. Jones, so you know, you are definitely a pioneer in the gospel music industry. But some people, I don't know who, but some just might not know who you are. So if you would tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Okay, I'll start with my name, okay, and my birth. My name is Bobby Jones, Bobby Lewis Jones, and I'm from a little town in West Tennessee called Henry. I guess about 800 people lived there when I was there, and moved to a little bigger city called Paris, and that's both in Tennessee. I finished elementary school when I was 11, and high school when I was 15, and college when I was 19. I went to Tennessee State University. I majored in education, and I became a school teacher. I left Nashville and went to St. Louis, Missouri. My first teaching job was in St. Louis, Missouri, at the school called Farragut Elementary School, and then to Beaumont High School, two major schools in the northern part of the city of St. Louis. I stayed in St. Louis for about 6 years, and because of the climate of hatred and difficult situations in that city, I had to go back south. So I moved back to Nashville and found a job here teaching again. And so I taught in elementary schools and became curriculum leadership developer in the Nashville school system, and was discovered by McGraw-Hill Publishers out of New York City. They are the ones that print most of the college texts that are out there. Great big publishing company. So I worked with them. I was working with the program with the lady by the name of Cynthia Buchanan, who taught the phonetic approach to teaching children to read. And I was traveling around the country and the world to different systems who used that approach to teaching children. And so I stayed with them for about 4 or 5 years, moved back to Nashville, Tennessee, started teaching at Tennessee State University. Thought processing was the course that I taught the students that came that needed some assistance in knowing how to comprehend reading skills. And that takes you up to about 14 years, 15 years at Tennessee State University. While teaching at Tennessee State, I'm wrapping it up for you. While teaching at Tennessee State University, I was introduced to gospel music in a larger way because I went to a Baptist church, and that's what the music they sang. I was raised in a Methodist church. Of course, we didn't sing gospel music there. We tried to be more like the major culture, which was a mistake, but we didn't know any better. We still do that sometimes. We try to be like in plain English, trying to be like white folk. you know? They were our role models and our examples. So everybody in the little Methodist church wanted to be prim and proper, and the Baptist folk was like, yeah. So I found it very interesting, and I started listening to it. It became not only a spiritual experience, it was a cultural experience as well. So I was able to merge the two together. And fortunately, I became president of Black Expo, the first Black Expo that we had in Nashville, Tennessee, and used the skills that I had developed with McGraw-Hill to format the way that program should go. And doing that formatting of the program of Black Expo and teaching, I was able to get a show, television show, on one of the NBC affiliates, and that was in 1976.
Wow.
Yeah. So I finished the university that I mentioned to you when I was 19. So I was still very young, you know. And so once I did that, they had affirmative action programs were in effect at that time. Affirmative action means that you had to have some ethnicity of others than just whites on the television networks. And so we were able to get a short program of gospel music on that network because of the affirmative action programs. And that's where I got my start. And I'll take you to BET later. I'll let you ask me some questions, but that takes me all through the Nashville in the younger years. Okay.
I tell you, you know what, and you don't miss a beat.
Well, I wanted to go thorough with you.
I love it. I love it. You know, I can sit here and talk to you all day. You know, what you are most known for, of course, is the Dr. Bobby Jones Show on BET. So when did that show actually start? I know it ran for over 30 plus years. So what year did that start?
Bob Johnson and I, Bob is the president, and I started that network in 1980. That was when we started that network. And that was 4 years after I had worked the show in Nashville. So what happened was some guys took my copy of my show to New Orleans, where the people who were looking for TV shows, I forget what they called the organization, took my show there, and he asked me, can I take your show to the television swapping people? I said, sure. So he took it. Bob Johnson was there looking for some Black shows because there weren't any.
Right,
and,
exactly.
You know, the only thing we had, you know, at the time, we had 2 shows that had run that were basically Black, and he saw it, and of course, what was he going to say? Bobby Jones, I want your show. I said, Robert Johnson, you can have it. So at that time, it was on satellite. It was on West Star 5. There was one of the satellites that were working at the time. And so we started it with that show. The first show on BET was Bobby Jones.
Wow. Yes.
And that was all the hand of the Lord. It couldn't have happened any other way. I was still teaching then, but I was able to do the show and teaching. I didn't stop teaching until 1988, I think it was.
Wow, awesome. That's incredible. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. You know, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to hear more of Dr. Bobby Jones' story and how it all began and what Dr. Jones is doing now.
Well, thank you, Claudia. We'll see you in a minute.
All right.
She lives with John 3:16 as a daily reminder. This verse serves as a representation of why she gives so freely of herself, firmly believing that if God could send his one and only Son to die for our sins, surely she can give of herself to be of service to others. She has a heart that beats with immeasurable rhythm of caring and love. Her arms continuously stretch longer and longer, and yet they never seem to break. This is all evident by the love, care, and commitment she has as a mother, first raising her 3 daughters, for a while as a single mother. She displays a positive example for her daughters as her mother did for her. Many of us have heard or read stories of the close bond she and her mother had and the love she still has for her mother. When it came to mothering, she didn't stop with just her 3 daughters. You see, she received a call that there were 3 little girls, sisters, who needed some extra special love, attention, care, and guidance. And she answered that call with a yes. And just when you might think that would be enough just to take care of them, no. Her love and her heartbeats grew even stronger for them. Those arms stretched longer and wider. She gave more of herself and made them legally hers by adopting them. We have a message from her daughters. How tremendously blessed we are to have come from such a woman as our mother. When we think of all she represents, we are amazed at her daily grace, her strength, resiliency, persistence, love, passion, and her unwavering commitment to her faith, her family, and to her community. A message from her husband. She is my everything. Selfless, supportive, nurturing, and patient. She has a heart for God's people and consistently demonstrates this through community service and feeding the homeless. She possesses a love like no other for our entire family, especially our children. She can cook, and she does give the best hugs.
My mission is to encourage and equip others to believe in the possibilities of a happier, healthier, and fulfilled life by inspiring positive change through talk therapy sessions.
And we're back to Reclaiming My Life with Dr. Bobby Jones. So Dr. Bobby Jones, tell us 30-some years with the Dr. Bobby Jones Gospel Show. What was it like, the experience?
Well, the experience was mammoth. I loved television, of course, and I wanted to, and I loved the gospel music. I fell in love with it. No more hymns right through that period. It was basically gospel, and I was trying to understand the meaning and why it happened, who started it, where it started, and how it got to be popularized. And I found out that Dr. Thomas A. Dorsey was the founder of the style of gospel music because of his experience as playing the blues in nightclubs. So he took that same chording and that same sound, note chordings and stuff, to church and started making songs just like the blues songs with that blues rhythm. I said, oh my God, this is what that man did, Dr. Thomas A. Dorsey. So he had several women that were working with him. And so when he would write songs and they would write songs, one was named Sally Morton and the other name was Willie Mae Ford Smith. Willie Mae Ford Smith was in St. Louis, Missouri, and Sally Morton was in Chicago, and that's where, of course, Thomas Dorsey was. So the people in the churches at first, they you know what they did. Ooh, we don't have that devil's music in our churches, It was a rejection, a total rejection, but he was able to get in some of the churches to get it started, and they listened, and Sally Morton and Willie Mae Ford Smith worked for him. So they took that sheet music and all around the country. They started in Chicago up to Detroit, from Detroit over to Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, from Philadelphia and Pittsburgh to New York City, down over to the side to Newark, New Jersey. There was a trail in which those ladies traveled to carry this music with them, and they could play it and they could sing it. And the Black folk loved it. It gave them a chance to say not yes, sir, but yes, sir. that part of the ethnicity was available, and the Pentecostals and the Baptists, they were the ones that the receivers of it, first of all. But there was a problem in the midst of many of the Baptist churches. You couldn't bring no drums there. You couldn't bring no other kind of instruments but the keyboard, piano, and the organ. They accepted those two, but all of those other instruments that we utilize today, no. And that was happening when I was even in college, as a student in college. They were forbidding that kind because they didn't want it. But, as time went on, they began to open up and they began to listen to the music, and they went, wow, this is something we can do. So being Methodist, I called my mother and I started playing, I taught myself how to play the piano. I lived with my uncle and aunt, and my aunt could play the piano by ear. And so I would sit down and I would watch her, play. And I said, I like those chords, And so a lady was on the radio one day and she called, she announced, we need someone to play for our Sunday school. I said, uh-oh. Now really, I couldn't play the three notes. Jesus keep me near Jesus keep me near the cross and pass me not, O gentle Savior, with one hand to the right and just using two fingers on the left. So that what it was all about. Again, it was a good blessing. I said, I'm going down there and see if she will hire me. I did, and she did.
Wow.
And that was at a Baptist church. I began to play for their Sunday school. And as time went on, I gained more knowledge of how to play the gospel songs and developed a choir. And our choir became one of the best choirs in Nashville. And it was scaring my mother to death. I said, Mama, I went to this Baptist church and I'm playing the piano for them. She said, you can't play no piano for it. Yes, I can. And I said, and guess what? The pastor is hollering at the people and they hollering back at him. You said Jesus is good. They say yes.
Right.
Said, they were hollering back at the preacher, and she said, "No, they were." I said, "Yes, they are. You should see this, and it's very spiritual,
Yeah.
And so that was like the beginning in the development of my interest in gospel music, and looking at that part of the culture that I had not been introduced to as a Black guy,
Right.
So
Right.
that was a start for me, and then I began to sing, and some Black guys called the Royal Gospel Singers asked if I would come and sing with them. I said, I can't sing that. They said,
I
yes,
tell
you
you
can.
one thing, what we have learned over the years, you definitely can sing.
Oh, I don't know about that. It's not the gospel kind, but I try. So Claudia, that's kind of like the beginning of the beginning, because when I went to St. Louis, Missouri, I also found the church that wanted me to play for them, and I continued to do that and develop those kinds of skills. And then when I came back to Nashville, I joined back with the same church that I was before I left Nashville to get the job. So 1988, after Bob, I had been with Bob Johnson then for a few years, but we were not countrywide at that time. BET and Bobby Jones Gospel, and then he began to collect a few other shows that were Black.
Yes.
And a lot of the other kinds of music was being played on BET. So by that time, it was time for me to give up the teaching situations, because I had gone over to Tennessee State University to teach, as I mentioned to you, the thought processing classes. So I told my mother, I said, well, you know what? I like this, and I'm going to stop teaching at the university, and I'm going full-time TV. She said, what? I said, yeah, I'm going to try it. I have nothing to hold me back. So this is going to be my experience. So she supported me, and I did. And that was another beginning of the beginning, because right after that, then the urban markets began to get cable. It was a long time before we were on in many homes, because cable wasn't present. The two major states that were carrying cable television was Texas and Florida, and the South were able to get more cable initially than the northern and eastern states were. So we were at an advantage and a disadvantage. So once it hit the urban markets, it hit Chicago, it hit Detroit, Michigan, it hit Philadelphia, New York, and Richmond, Virginia, and all those places. Those Negroes started to see that gospel music come to life, because the only ones that knew it were the ones that knew all the real gospel singers, like the Albertina Walkers and the quartet singers and all of those people. But that's when BET began to blow up. And of course, we were number one.
Of course.
Number one show on the network, and built the network.
Well, let me ask you, after being on BET for over 30 plus years, did you feel that, you took a little break? I'm going to say a little break, because you are currently on the Impact Network, Bobby Jones Present. But when you took that little break, did you feel like, you have been so committed for so many years? Did you feel like you needed to reclaim your life?
No, I decided that I was going to retire after 35 years on BET. I was working with a lady by the name of Barbara Mandrell, who was a country music star. And she had a major show on NBC, she and her sisters, and she loved gospel music. And so I went to work for her with Barbara and my group. We sang with Barbara Mandrell for 8 years, traveled around the country, did all the country music shows, Las Vegas, all of those places with them. And after Barbara Mandrell was just on top, she was number one show on NBC for music. And she decided that she was going to retire because she was on top. because other shows were coming on to challenge her. So I said to myself, I'm going to do like Barbara Mandrell. 35 years, I'm going to retire while I'm on top.
While you on top.
And I went to the management and I told them.
You're still on top, Dr. Jones. You're still on top. You'll always be on top. You know, it has been a pleasure, an absolute pleasure and honor. You know, I am forever grateful that you have joined me here on my show early on, because as I told you, I've only been on the network as a broadcaster for a few months now. Yeah. And to have you join me, I am forever grateful. So thank you so much for joining me on Reclaiming My Life.
Well, I appreciate you asking me, actually, because I'd like for people to know that I am still doing television. I am still doing gospel music, and I'm still doing the work of the Lord. It's all about Jesus Christ and my relationship with him.
Yes. Amen. Amen. Thank you so much. And to our audience, I want to thank you all so much for your support, your love of Preach the Word Worldwide Network. Thank you so much for tuning in with me every Sunday right here, 4:30 p.m. I'll see you all next week. And until then, if you're going through any trials in your life, any trauma, just know that there is hope and you too can reclaim your life. Be blessed.
I'm a divorced single mom, and my ex-husband left me and the kids with a lot of unpaid bills, including unpaid taxes. I'm already living paycheck to paycheck. That would have put me over the edge financially.
But then a friend at work told her to call the tax relief line.
They told me about something called Innocent Spouse Relief. They worked it out so that all of the taxes from my ex are not my problem. I don't owe the IRS a dime, and they are not going to take my paycheck.
The call and the consultation are free.
Help. When you fall and can't get help, you will lie on the floor for hours or days in constant, terrible anguish, which often results in a tragic outcome. But with Life Alert, one touch of a button can get you help fast.
Don't worry, help is on the way.
With any of Life Alert's 3 emergency systems, help can be summoned immediately, whether at home,
I've fallen and I can't get up.
in the bathroom,
I've fallen in the shower,
or on the go.
Help! I'm in the park and I can't get up.
And batteries never need charging. Life Alert saves a life every 11 minutes.
For a free Life Alert brochure, call 1-800-634-0945. That's 1-800-634-0945. Call now, 1-800-634-0945.
She lives with John 3:16 as a daily reminder. This verse serves as a representation of why she gives so freely of herself, firmly believing that if God could send his one and only Son to die for our sins, surely she can give of herself to be of service to others. She has a heart that beats with immeasurable rhythm of caring and love. Her arms continuously stretch longer and longer, and yet they never seem to break. This is all evident by the love, care, and commitment she has as a mother, first raising her 3 daughters, for a while as a single mother. She displays a positive example for her daughters as her mother did for her. Many of us have heard or read stories of the close bond she and her mother had, and the love she still has for her mother. When it came to mothering, she didn't stop with just her 3 daughters. You see, she received a call that there were 3 little girls, sisters, who needed some extra special love, attention, care, and guidance. And she answered that call with a yes. And just when you might think that would be enough just to take care of them, no. Her love and her heartbeats grew even stronger for them, those arms stretched longer and wider. She gave more of herself and made them legally hers by adopting them. We have a message from her daughters. How tremendously blessed we are to have come from such a woman as our mother. When we think of all she represents, we are amazed at her daily grace, her strength, resiliency, persistence, love, passion, and her unwavering commitment to her faith, her family, and to her community. A message from her husband. She is my everything. Selfless, supportive, nurturing, and patient. She has a heart for God's people and consistently demonstrates this through community service and feeding the homeless. She possesses a love like no other for our entire family, especially our children. She can cook and she does give the best hugs.
My mission is to encourage and equip others to believe in the possibilities of a happier, healthier, and fulfilled life by inspiring positive change through talk therapy sessions.
I'm a divorced single mom, and my ex-husband left me and the kids with a lot of unpaid bills, including unpaid taxes. I'm already living paycheck to paycheck. That would have put me over the edge financially.
But then a friend at work told her to call the tax relief line.
They told me about something called Innocent Spouse Relief. They worked it out so that all of the taxes from my ex are not my problem. I don't owe the IRS a dime, and they are not going to take my paycheck.
The call and the consultation are free.
When you fall and can't get help,
Help!
you will lie on the floor for hours or days in constant, terrible anguish, which often results in a tragic outcome. But with Life Alert, one touch of a button can get you help fast.
Don't worry, help is on the way.
With any of Life Alert's 3 emergency systems, help can be summoned immediately, whether at home,
I've fallen and I can't get up.
in the bathroom,
I've fallen in the shower.
or on the go.
Help! I'm in the park and I can't get up.
And batteries never need charging. Life Alert saves a life every 11 minutes.
For a free Life Alert brochure, call 1-800-634-0945. That's 1-800-634-0945. Call now, 1-800-634-0945.